Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to take this incredible journey not into outer space, but into a world you see every single day and probably think you know, the world of plants.
We usually just see them as, well, pretty scenery, right? Green, still, totally silent. But that view, as this shot of a parasitic mistletoe kind of hints, is incredibly deceiving. Plants are constantly on the move, they're making decisions, and they're fighting for their lives. So the big question is, how on earth does something so still lead such a dynamic life? Okay, let's really get into it. We're going to peel back the layers, literally, and uncover this hidden world of clever architecture, secret chemistry, and some pretty surprising physics that power the entire life of a plant.
All right, first things first, we've got to change how we think about a plant. Stop seeing it as just one thing. Instead, I want you to picture this, a bustling, self-constructing, solar-powered city.
And it's a perfect way to think about it, right? The leaves, those are your solar power stations, busy converting sunlight into energy. The stems and roots, that's all the plumbing and the logistics network, moving water and food around. The hormones, that's like a citywide, high-speed communication system, sending messages from the very bottom all the way to the top. And the cell walls, well, that's the scaffolding holding the whole incredible thing up.
Now, let's zoom in a bit. We're going to look at those power plants, the leaves, and see the absolutely elegant process that turns plain old sunlight into life itself.
It all kicks off with a process you've probably heard of since grade school, photosynthesis. But seriously, don't just gloss over it. This single process is basically the engine for almost all life on our planet. It takes the simplest ingredients, light, CO2, water, and builds the very foundation of the food web.
And this is where the magic happens. Look at that. Inside every single leaf cell, you've got thousands of these little guys called chloroplasts. And each one, it's essentially a tiny, hyper-efficient solar panel.
The whole playbook is just so elegant, it's beautiful. Step 1. Chlorophyll, that's the stuff that makes plants green, grabs photons from sunlight. Step 2. It uses that energy to smash together carbon dioxide and water to make sugar, which is the plant's food. And step 3, the part we should all be very thankful for, it releases the oxygen that we breathe.
But running this whole factory creates a huge problem. It's a real dilemma. To get the CO2 it needs, the plant has to open these tiny little pores on its leaves. They're called stomata. The catch? The second those pores are open, all its precious water starts to escape. So it's this constant, high-stakes balancing act between starving to death and dying of thirst. So that's the chemistry. Now let's see how that builds into the actual physics of the plant. How does a plant stand up straight against gravity without a skeleton? To figure that out, we have to zoom in even deeper, right down to its fundamental building block, the single cell.
The biologist Edmund Sinnott really nailed this way back in 1939. He pointed out that a plant is this marvel of nested complexity. Basically, the rules that work for the whole plant are totally different from the rules that work for the individual cells that make it up.
So what's the big secret to a plant structure? It's not muscle, it's not bone, it's just water. The simple, powerful hydraulic force of water pushing from the inside out. It's called turgor pressure. That's the reason a lettuce leaf is crispy and snaps, and it's also why a wilted one is all floppy. So this all boils down to a really simple but super profound idea. For a plant cell, pressure is growth. That internal push of water is the main force that makes the cells get bigger, and by extension, makes the whole plant grow. But hold on, it's not just like blowing up a balloon. A balloon just deflates. For a plant cell to grow for good, its wall actually has to loosen up, stretch out because of that turgor pressure, and then get reinforced with new stuff. It's this super controlled yielding process that turns a tiny little seedling into a massive tree, one pressurized cell at a time.
Okay, so we've seen how plants build their city. Now let's get into how they communicate within it, and, more importantly, how they defend that city when it's under attack.
It turns out plants have this really sophisticated chemical language, and they use hormones to coordinate everything. So you've got things like auxins. They're kind of like the city planners, figuring out growth patterns. Then you have gibberellins. They're the construction foremen, telling stems to grow taller. And then there's jasmonic acid. Think of that as the city's emergency broadcast system. It's the alarm that goes off when there's an attack.
And that brings up a really fascinating question, right? Plants are stuck in one spot. They can't just get up and run away from danger. So what do they do when a threat arrives? And trust me,
The threats are very, very real. We're talking everything from hungry insects to bacteria and fungi and even other plants. Like this thing. It's a parasitic vine called daughter, and it literally just sucks the life right out of its host. Creepy, right? Their response is just this incredible, silent form of biological warfare. Get this. When a caterpillar chews on a cabbage leaf, the plant sets off a mustard oil bomb of toxic chemicals. Other plants make these proteins that just stop an insect's digestion in its tracks. They cook up their own antimicrobial agents to fight off disease. And they use that hormone network we talked about to send out a system-wide alarm, warning distant leaves to get ready for the incoming attack. It's amazing. So, next time you look at a plant, I really hope you see something totally different. You're not looking at some static green object. You're looking at a deeply complex, incredibly active system. It's a colony of cells working together, a self-constructing superorganism. So we've gone from the big picture architecture of the plant city all the way down to the molecular warfare happening in its cells. And this whole journey just reveals this hidden world of constant action. It really leaves us with one final incredible question to think about. If a plant can do all this, if it can sense danger, coordinate its own growth, and wage chemical warfare, what else are we missing just by looking?